So, for
Good
those of
day,
you
guys.
for those of you who can't get enough Mike Panozzo in one day, I'm back. And
Nobody
I'm gonna say completely the opposite here of everything I've said else.
There's no such thing. No such thing as too much Mike Panozzo.
I think that you are becoming the sane voice of the industry, Mike.
I don't know about that, but I'm
Well, I don't know. The most heard. I don't know if it's the most sane, but certainly the most heard.
Yeah, really. Well, sanity's all relative in pool.
There's not a lot of it going around. So the bar is not high.
It doesn't take much. Yeah, it doesn't take much to be up at the top.
Yeah, the bar is not high.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And here we are. I don't know. I'm excited. I want to say all of the things. We'll get into it. I don't know. We want to talk about the U.S. Open first.
Yeah, let's start positive, shall we?
Let's start positive, right?
God, it seems like so long ago already.
Well, it does, but
it's just me.
How about this? The fallout of the U.S. Open. How's that?
Ooh, what would the fallout be then?
Yeah, was there fallout?
Well, I mean, I think we can start talking about Fedor as he's having like the little run that FSR had a couple of years ago, right? Where does this put him?
In the Hall of Fame, Nate, because everybody says Francisco's already in the Hall of Fame. So
that's what I say.
That's where we go.
That's what I say.
I mean, obviously,
he's Hall of Fame anyway for the if you want to call it the Triple Crown, if there is such a thing, you know, that because nobody's ever done that before. So that's a Hall of Fame achievement, in my opinion.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why is that?
Because the Masters is I don't consider the Masters being anywhere close to any of the events on the calendar.
It doesn't matter what you consider to be. I just said if that is generally considered as now the Triple Crown, then he's the only person that's ever done it.
You know, I got to disagree. I mean, you know, do these three titles help his case regardless? Of course, but I think that establishing it's the WNT Triple Crown.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so there's qualifiers that go with it, right? It's one, do you accept that the World Pool Masters is at the same level as the US Open and World Championship? That's one thing you'd have to. I would say no too. So to me, Triple Crown in this case is just a title. It's just something.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Something that somebody wanted to brand something is. Now, if you won the World 8-ball, the World 9-ball, and the World 10-ball in the same year, like Francisco almost did, that to me would be a Triple Crown where you're like, okay, I can live with this. These are three world titles in the same year. Yeah. That to me is a different story. So, you know, is what Fedor's done amazing? Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that you say anybody who ever wins this particular Triple Crown is a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming.
Let's be honest. His career is not ending tomorrow.
No, either Francisco, neither is anybody else. You know,
he's got 16. He's got 16 years to just add another, maybe one or two titles, and guarantee himself Hall of Fame anyway. So I mean,
well, he's got 2 world championships already.
Got 2 world championships.
Yeah, the US Open. So he's got a.
I like a little bit. Start. I like a little bit of longevity in my Hall of Famers.
I do too.
Well, he won his first world title in 2019, 2018,
2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah,
frozen out in 2018 of Mosconi. That's what pissed him off. Whatever. But longevity is important to me too, which is why I have said, you know, my jury's out on Francisco. For you know, if for the sake of argument, he never wins another tournament. Plays another 10 years, never wins another tournament. Plays another 10 years, doesn't even reach a finals match of a major tournament. Then you look at it a little bit differently, right? Mm-hmm. Flash in the pan, or you know. So that's why, you know, I always reserve judgment until someone's way past what would be considered the meat of their career.
Sure.
But anyways, I digress. Fedor, unbelievable year so far. The one that we've been waiting for a couple of years. Actually, you know, for him to get back into the thick of things, and then when he got back into the thick of things and didn't do so well right out of the gate, there was a little questions, and you know, it was obvious that, you know, he just had been a year away from playing in these type of tournaments. Where I was going to take him a little bit of time to get that type of groove going again and playing on TV and playing into big events and all that kind of stuff. And now he's proven that, yeah, he's ready. He's ready for this challenge at this point, don't you think?
Yeah, and he changed his equipment as well. It took him. He was one of the guys. It did take him a little bit of time to adjust. You know, he had some, shall we say, some noticeable deficiencies in his game, getting used to the new equipment that was showing up on the matchroom table a couple of times.
I mean, Jason had it. David Al-Qaedi had it.
Most of them.
FSR had it.
Yeah,
I mean, FSR is probably the one player. It seems like he hasn't made it out of it yet, right? He switched over to QTech and he hasn't made a deep run in a tournament since.
Josh, would the carbon?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's FSR's a difficult one, you know, because we all said that it was just so remarkable what he did, and he was never going to be able to keep it up. He was always going to dip again, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's very difficult to judge whether or not his level really has dipped that much, or how much his level has dipped. His results have dipped, but your level doesn't really have to dip that much for you to be last 16 instead of finalist every single time. Well, you know, because
he misses balls.
Yeah,
he misses balls now.
Yeah, okay, but
he went a year without missing a ball. I'm pretty sure.
Let's be honest. He did win a couple of his tournaments when he was still missing balls as well, but people were dogging it against him. You know,
Max,
which is what you need. You know,
the final of the U.S. Open where he played Max Lechner. Max didn't play his game that he had played to get to that point.
Yeah. Exactly. So you know, how much has he dipped? You got to say that you've got players in there that are playing the best pool of their life now. You know, Fedor, Shane, I think, is playing the best pool he's played since 2012.
Yeah,
without a doubt. You know, so people are stepping up. You know, and they're playing more and more of these tournaments on these tables in those surroundings. You've got monsters coming through. You know, Pius and now Mickey Krause and stuff like that are capable of beating anybody. It's just so difficult to win these tournaments. You know, it's just incredibly difficult. And but Fedor's managing to dominate. You know, but he's got that gear. You know, he's got that, and he said it himself. He hasn't played great. Again, his results have been great, but he's not completely happy about the way he's playing.
Tiger Woods said that shit too. You only have to be great enough to win this match.
Exactly.
In the next match, you have to be great enough to win that match, and it's you can't. There aren't very people who are going to go through a whole tournament playing at 100% every match for an entire tournament.
I'm hesitant to put him in the same category as a person like Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods focuses on that 1 8-foot putt that lipped out at the end of a round where he just shot 65, right? I mean, you're always looking at those tiny little things where
some players are like that,
right? Yeah.
But what I notice,
Fedor's playing at a pretty high level.
what I notice with Fedor now, and that's what you see. You see this little shift in any sports, any of the greats of any sports. There's a moment where they have that aura, you know. They go from being really great players to all of a sudden they have that aura that almost other players fear, you know. And then you see that players end up playing badly against that person because it is that person. They already go into the match negatively.
We've seen everybody do it.
We've seen it, and Fedor has it now. You know, Fedor goes into the matches, and you see players can be playing great all the way through the tournament, and then they come against Fedor, and they just don't play the same. They don't have that same, And Fedor's got that now. You know, players look across the table and see him sitting there, and all of a sudden their form is dipped by 5%. And that's all Fedor needs to win these matches without playing his best pool.
They also try to sit there and figure out. They also try to sit there and figure out how to play safe without leaving them a jump.
Yeah, no, but that's what he does. That's what he does. He makes players think that there's nowhere on the table that's safe.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
but they overthink their shots. They try to be too. They try to be too good with their shots. They try to be too precise, and he picks them off. You know.
So who are you rooting for in the final? Shane makes the final, has a shot at his 6th U.S. Open title. Who were you rooting for in the final, Joe?
Me? I was rooting for Shane. Fedor will win another one anyway. Fedor's got several US Opens in him, I think. Like I said, I mean, he's only 24, 24, 25. He's got loads of US Opens still in him. I don't like records being shared amongst greats. I like one person to hold records.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Shane get on the 6 and be the only one on 6. and just have the rest behind him, because I think he deserves that. I think he is that guy.
I heard an interesting argument though. At the U.S. Open, I heard a very interesting argument that I mean, let's start with Shane has his lovers and Shane has his haters, and they are equally as vocal. But one of his haters came up to me at the U.S. Open, and we were discussing it before the final started, and he's like, "I don't want Shane to ever get to 6 because he shouldn't have 5." Now, Shane is the first person that'll tell you no one will ever get to 5 ever again because you can't hand rack for yourself, right?
Oh, you're not allowed to say that. I said that on Facebook, and people tried to destroy me. You can't. And I said,
Shane has said it himself. Shane has said it himself. Yeah. So this person's like, well, Shane shouldn't be at 5 anyways because he wouldn't be there had he not been able to manipulate the racks for years and years and years. And I don't agree with that because I think Shane is an absolute talent to begin. Would he maybe have 4? I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe he gets to 5 anyways. Maybe he has more if the people that are playing against him, he didn't lose a match because somebody was manipulating the racks harder. I don't know. It's hard to say because it's like the steroids ring. You know, would Barry Bonds have had as many home runs if he didn't have steroids? Well, I think it's pretty easy to say no, but maybe whatever. His numbers were good regardless. It's just an interesting story. I mean, it's just an interesting thought, Mike. What do you think? Like, do you think that has any credence to it?
Is he the only player in the tournament to rack his own balls?
Exactly.
Sure. Well, you could make an argument that
the only player in the tournament to rack his own balls.
Yeah. I'm sure he played against Corey.
Racking their own balls too.
And I'm sure he played against Corey a few times, and he's a better racker than Shane is.
Yeah, so, Earl played in an era where they were racking their own balls too, and it was just a different break then for sure. But I mean, listen. You want to poke holes in it, you can poke holes in anything you want to if you're really trying to.
Shane's won 5 U.S. Opens.
He's trying too hard. He's won 5 U.S. Opens, period. Got into the finals against the best players who had made it through the tournament. Wasn't racking his own in any of the television matches once it got to the semifinals and finals. So, I don't buy it.
I tend to agree with it too, but I just thought it was an interesting argument, I thought.
Yes, arguments are always fun.
Oh, it'll certainly start arguments.
Oh, for sure, right? For sure. Yeah, I don't think that anybody wasn't rooting for Shane though. I mean, do you have your like diehard? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I feel like even the crowd in there, like, I'm out on the outside working the onboard booth, and so I'm only hearing a little bits and pieces of it. But every time Shane wins a rack, the crowd gets probably 15 to 25% louder than when Fedor wins a rack.
Yeah, everybody wants to see history. I've gone to baseball games where the opposing pitcher was pitching a no-hitter, and in the 9th inning, I was pulling for the opposing pitcher. I mean, it's just you like to see history made. You like to see things special happen like that. I thought it was an amazing run that he made there. I mean, I thought he was the best player through the week. Yes. I thought by a long shot, and to me, it's just amazing to see that out of him at 41 with the fields the way they are now and the equipment the way it is now. And for him to go out there and even reach the final again. That's my son said, well, I hope he wins because this will be his last chance. No. Why? He's playing right now. Why couldn't he be in the next one? I mean, there's no.
Shane will be competitive as long as he decides to stay competitive.
Yeah.
Shane will decide. He's too good. Shane will decide when it's enough is enough, and when it's
astonishing to watch him play.
And especially after he just stayed awake for 3 days straight playing Fedor and the rest of
that was the thing. How many people were expecting Fedor and Shane both to tank in the first or second round after playing all those racks 2 days before the U.S. Open? But they end up against each other in the final.
I could have expected it from Fedor. Because Fedor's young, he's fit. But even Fedor mentioned during the 120 match that he was shocked by how fit Shane was when he would come back into the room at 9 o'clock in the morning after 5 hours sleep, and he looked fresh as a daisy. You know?
Well, Fedor even said, that he was in worse shape than Shane after those 3 days.
They were both pretty bumped the first couple of days, and they had to really fight through the first couple of days. Yeah. But amazing the two of them to get in the final, and at the end of the day, it was a great final. They started off a bit. There was a couple of misses at the beginning of the match, which they're both chasing history in their own way, But I mean, as much as Federer is loved by the American public now, and and he loves to represent America, if you're going up against anybody in a popularity contest in America, don't pick Shane because you're all going to lose. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no surprise that the crowd were more in favor of Shane than Fedor. Nobody's winning a popularity contest against him over there. So I mean,
and I would say, I think it's. I mean, we're talking more about Shane than we are at Fedor at this point, who wins it. But I think it's interesting to look at the 32-1 that Shane had to play, because it's almost like a Disney story. I mean, he plays Dong, who's he's known as having Shane's number. He's beat him 4 of the last times that they've played. Shane beats him 10-6, and then he goes on to play Jason Shaw. I mean, are there two players on tour that have more animosity towards each other than those two? I mean, I'll wait.
Well, I don't think it's animosity, but they've got history. Yeah.
Well, they definitely have animosity too. I mean, there's a lot. It's very. We'll say it's a fragile alliance. How's that? Anyways, then he plays Vitaly Patsura. I mean, that outside of Shane and maybe, I think might be the most underrated player on the entire tour today. I mean, he just won the Texas Open, right? I mean, he's really knocking on the door to make some.
It's like Fedor a couple of years ago. It's all about opportunity. He just hasn't had the opportunities, so he can only have the opportunity if an event's in the U.S. But he's played as well this year as when he's had the opportunities as anybody.
Yeah, and then if there's if there's the ultimate Shane killer, it's Joshua Filler, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his number for years. He gets through all of those players to get to Fedor. I mean, maybe if he had to play somebody he had a little less respect for, hated a little bit more in the finals, he'd have won.
He gave everything he had in that.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he had to get up.
He could not have given any more there.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just worth pointing that out.
It was a great event.
That's what you should have to do to get to a US Open final.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be playing big match after big match after big match. Simple as that.
That's what the people want to see. That's what the players want. When they win that title, they want to say, I had to go through this guy, and this guy, and this guy to get to it. That's a badge of honor for them as well.
To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with Mike. I think throughout the whole tournament, Shane was the best player.
Yeah.
That Fedor got it done, as he just seems to do at the moment. I don't know what that tipping point was, but at some stage he just.
It's a combination. It's a combination of incredible talent and confidence.
Yeah. There must have been a tipping point where all of a sudden, because he played really well last year. He played really well all the way through, and the final he didn't play great. And now he's fought his way through several tournaments. He's fought his way through, and then when he's needed to play well, he's played well. And he just seems to have that in his armor now, and he's incredible player, and it's kind of the it's great to see because we've been waiting for it, you know, and it's time for the rest of them to step up, because this guy's the best player on the planet at the moment.
I kind of like it's almost a tournament of the old guys in a sense. Of the final 8 players, 4 of them were over 35. That's kind of cool to see. Doesn't happen too often.
Jesus, so you're trying to make 35 sound old?
It's become pretty old in the pool world.
Full sense, it kind of has been, right?
Jason's right about there. He considers himself a veteran,
Veteran, yes. But, I think there's a lot of these guys who are at their peak around 33, 34.
You would imagine that the players would be around their peak around about that age.
Francisco is kind of.
Look at tournament winners. Look at tournament winners over the last, since Matchroom started. Look at the tournament winners.
They're mostly in their 20s.
Well, yeah, this year you got Mickey and you got Robbie. So you're talking about young and Fedor. So you're talking pretty young. You're talking pretty young there.
I think when FSR had his run, I think he was 28 or 29. So he was still in his 20s.
Yeah.
And now that he's into his 30s. But
I think the only Jason and Jason Alcada won a couple of the Opens. They're probably the only older guys that have really won one.
Well,
other than Shane, obviously.
Dang.
David Alcaide.
Dang. What? That's what I said. Alcaide and Jason. What age is Dang then?
He can't be older than 33 or 34, is he?
Oh, he's been around a while, but yeah, so he's in his 30s for sure. Dang won. Who did he beat?
He beat Mark Weisterbosch at the Spanish.
Yeah, Weisterbosch.
Yeah, in the Spanish Open, I believe.
Spanish, yeah.
The only one. But yeah, I mean, Shane Van Boning's 40, Al-Qaedi's 49, 48.
No chance.
45, 45 or so.
Yeah, I thought he was. There's
the guy who's played his best pool after he was 40.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look at Niels in the Final Four. That was great to see.
Brilliant. But I really enjoyed that. And
he's almost 46.
Yeah, I was really happy for Niels because he's decided to sort of shift the goalposts a little bit with his priority, dividing his priorities between family and pool, and he's moved more towards family. But he can still, he still puts in a performance like that. Crushes a couple of top guys, gets to the semi-final, and I mean, I think he went through as a dark horse. There was no media attention on him. He was able just to go in there, do his work. Maybe occasionally a quick interview, and then he was out again. And that's what Niels likes. He likes to just go in. I'm going to work for 2 hours, 2.5 if I need it. And then I'm out of there. I'm going to go on the bike. I'm going to go cycling for the rest of the day. Then I'm going to come back, and tomorrow I'm going to play again or work again. Is more the way he does it, So that was great to see Niels doing well there.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then Kopingi's sneaky old 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's half the field, I guess, was over 35 all the way to the finals because I guess Niels is what, 40, got to be 43, 44?
Yeah.
43, I would guess. Yeah.
Shane is freshly 40, obviously, since he's going into the Hall of Fame
41.
this year. Is he 41 now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I guess a long time ago you had made and I probably should bring a player on to talk about this because I feel like most of these players are only playing 1, maybe 2 matches a day. If they're if they lose their first match, they might end up having 3 matches in one day. I wonder how much of it is an actual physical grind versus the mental grind of having to go up to max focus, to come down for 3, 4, 5 hours in between matches, and then back up to max focus again. How much of it is actually a mental grind versus a physical grind with these tournaments, and then sustaining that over the course of 5 or 6 days?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean,
I'd ask Jim, but he's never
different players probably approach it a different way.
Yeah, the grind for a lot of players is what do you do in between?
Yeah, Jim, can you make it past the second round so we can ask you one of these times?
That was nasty.
Wow.
What did Jim do for that?
This is what we do. Jim and I love each other this much.
No, it is what you do. It is what you do in between. You can tire yourself out when you're not playing.
Yeah.
What is that? You got to do the right things in between, and that's what players like Niels are very, very good at. Niels, Albin, they're very good at knowing what they're going to do in between matches to make sure that next time they're on the table, they're as fresh as they were first time or even fresher. But you've got other players that they need activity, they need to be doing stuff, and then they look a little bit worn out maybe towards the end of the day. You've got to do whatever's best for you, but the first thing is knowing what's best for you, knowing yourself and what works for you, and that's where experience is massive in that. That's what you've got.
That's right. Yeah. You don't
probably the best at it. Shane as well.
Usually don't know how to do it until you've done it wrong.
Exactly. So the guys with the experience, the Shane, Albin, Niels, they know what they're doing when they're at these tournaments.
Well, some people can do the crazy stuff though.
When you've got the energy levels for it. Yeah.
When you're young,
Oh, I know. There's some players now. There's some players in their mid 40s that are still out drinking at the bar till close and then go back to the room. And
but they're not winning tournaments, so are they?
Well, one of the biggest partiers on tour just got second at the Turning Stone. Mika likes himself a good party. He's at 52. He likes him. I mean, he's calm down.
He wasn't ripping his way through a matchroom field at Turning Stone, though, was he?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, he had to play some quite nice players still.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right.
It's great to see. It's great to see Mika into a final again and playing well and looking healthy.
Yeah.
Let's not go. Let's not push the boat out and say that Yeah.
He's earned his cocktails at this point.
Exactly. He can drink as much as he wants and go play pool.
So I don't know.
He has.
Anything else? I mean, I guess it's worth mentioning that the Matchroom is going to be doubling their first prize next year, right? Adding 200,000 to the prize fund from 300 to half a mil.
Going up to 6 figures for first place.
Yeah,
that's why Shane tanked the final. He wants number 6 to be $100,000 win.
He doesn't want to have 7 to be $100,000.
It's too tough to win 2 in a row.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Unless you're racking your own.
When was the last? Mike, you're a historian here. When was the last time a major event? And of course, when we talk major events, we're talking like, I don't know, I guess like the European Open type of, at least like that level U.S. Open. When was the last time you remember there being a back-to-back winner in something?
Back-to-back? Well, last U.S. Open was Shane in 16. Or no, he didn't win back-to-back then.
Well, Vitaly just won back-to-back Texas Opens.
Yeah, back-to-back.
No, Tyler won.
The U.S. Opens, Mika won back-to-back. Darren won back-to-back. Shane won back-to-back. I think Darren might have been the last one. No one's won any of the, Matchroom Opens are only a couple of years old, right? So no one's won any of those back-to-back world championships.
I do not consider the
back-to-backs. So it's been a while.
The Masters, but I don't consider that.
I'm sorry? Masters,
I don't consider Masters.
Yeah, Shane won back-to-back on that.
Albin went back-to-back World Finals, I think, didn't he?
What's that?
Albin went back-to-back World Finals, but didn't win them both.
Yeah, well, Shane went. Shane was back-to-back World Finals too and lost both. Was he?
That would have had to have been earlier on. It wasn't.
Well, he lost to Cohen, then he lost to Albin, and then Albin the next year lost to Beato, right?
Yeah. So that would have been 2016, 17?
17 around there, yeah. 15 to 18, somewhere in that range for those 4 events.
Yeah, no back-to-backs. Yeah, not many.
Yeah. So not
it's been a hot second.
No, Kachi wasn't back-to-back 10 balls, was it? No,
he was in the finals. Yeah, he was in the finals of the 3. Yeah.
Yeah. He went gold, bronze, gold.
Yeah, he lost to the Tevez, the player from was it Chile or Argentina? The Tevez.
Yeah,
Chile.
Yeah, I haven't seen him since. He gets second in the World Championship 10 ball, and we haven't seen him since. I don't even know if I've seen his name since.
Oh, right.
No. Crazy. It's been a while. At least probably 2016. Whenever Darren did the U.S. Open, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I think Darren. You know what? No, Darren. Shane's back-to-backs.
I think it was 13 and 14, wasn't it?
Shane won. No, he won 3 in a row. He won 12, 13, and 14. Yeah. That was after Darren and after Mika. So from 2008 to 2014, there were 3 winners. Actually, from 2007, because Shane won in 2007. So you had Shane in 2007, Mika in 8 and 9, Darren in 10 and 11, and Shane in 12, 13, 14.
Then he won it. And then he won in 16 too.
Then he won again in 16.
Yeah. So Kevin Chang won in. What happened to Kevin Chang too? By the way.
Yeah. How strong is that?
Yeah, Kevin Chang wins in 15.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
Oh well, that's golf level of dominance, right? I mean,
yeah.
So does Shane get to 6? Do you think?
I don't think. So.
It's just so hard to win these events. I think he'll make another semifinal. I think he'll come close enough again.
He'll put himself in the position to win one.
Yeah, he'll put himself into that final day again. I believe that.
Well, we're a long ways away from Shane back in 2020 saying he's got 1 or 2 years left before he wants to retire. I think at this point. So,
just keep saying that.
For 5 or I think Poole's in a completely different spot. I mean, if Poole would have stayed the same way that it was from 2016 to 2018, I think I wouldn't surprise me a bit if he was retired at this point. Shane doesn't need to work another day in his life, and he'll have plenty of money. It's not like he's got kids or like a big family to take care of or anything like that. The guy's got more money than he probably would ever need at this point with the investments he made.
He's also a huge gambler. So.
Well, yeah, he is. But also he puts himself in those situations where, if you're at a casino all the time, I mean, maybe he gambles, does he gamble because he's at a casino and there's nothing else to do in the casino, or does he, I'm not a gambler ever until I'm in a casino, and then I'll, toss a $100 bill here.
I don't know, and I shouldn't talk out of turn on his gambling habits anyways. So.
But let's not forget one thing. Shane still absolutely loves playing the game.
Yeah.
He absolutely
he does.
He's not going to take those 120 sets. He's not going to go and travel to all these tournaments. He would pick and choose. He's always going to get into Mosconi anyway. So he'd be if he really was, he just loves competing. He loves playing. And that's why he's still doing it. Because yes, he doesn't need the money. He's got all the titles. He could just calm down to 50% schedule and go fishing more, and he's still getting the Mosconi Cup team and make enough money in a year
100%.
to cover his expenses. He just loves playing.
Yeah.
Well, and he loves, and he does.
Oh, bye, Lofty.
I mean, it's one of those situations where, like, I think he would be retired right now if the trajectory of the 2016 to 2017 was the same, and. I mean, we're gonna talk about this going forward. I guess maybe this is a good segue into it. If Matchroom doesn't stick around, or the ban, I mean, really, we're at a crossroads in the industry. We really have no idea. We have some guesses, but we really have no idea what this industry is going to look like in 3 years. If Matchroom, for whatever reason, isn't around in 3 years, I don't think Shane will be either. Maybe he'll show up to the U.S. Open every year and just basically dust off his cues for a week before. But I don't think that he's going to be. I mean, he's definitely not going to be going to Vietnam or to China or to Europe. I don't think. Mike, what do you think? I mean, do you know him better than we do?
I don't.
Better than I do.
Who knows? I mean, Shane's, relatively temperamental. You can talk to him one day and he's ready to quit, and another day all he wants to do is fish, and then he's practicing for 26 hours and going on a 3-month trip. So. Shane will call his own shots. He like Jim said, he's got the talent and the drive and the dedication to play as long as he wants to keep playing. So if that's on a 50% schedule, he'll pick his spots. If that's on a 100% schedule, that's fine too. If he just wants to go fishing the rest of his life, that's fine too. So Matchroom, if one of the big players was out of the equation going forward, I think that'll affect his frequency of play. But I think you'll see him with a cue in his hand for a few years.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke to Shane quite a few times at the tournaments and stuff like that, and he says that what Matchroom has done has given him another boost, has given him a bit of a second wind. It's making things exciting again. He still loves playing, but the actual tournament part of it's exciting. There's more titles to be won. Big titles. And he loves that, and he's happy to keep doing it. He just loves playing. The one thing he doesn't like is the attention that he gets when he goes to these tournaments. He came and sat down and said, I was watching Darren playing, and I saw Shane coming through the between the tables, and somebody stopped him for a selfie, and he's like, and I went, yeah, and the smile came on, kind of thing. He took the selfie. He came over and sat down beside me. He says, "You know what, Jim? I'm going to have to start wearing a hat and a mask in these tournaments because I can't go anywhere. I'm just getting sick and tired of always having to do autographs."
Yeah, I'm sure it gets tiring. He's not.
You shouldn't have won a world title in 5 US Opens, then you idiot.
Yeah. Well, he's
with you. He hates all that kind of stuff. He doesn't.
Yeah, he's not one to really stick around and watch a whole lot or hang around with everybody, anyways.
A lot of it is that. He'll go out for dinner in the evening with players. We went out. He came out with us one night, or we went out with him one night, or whatever. And he doesn't mind hanging around with the players, but he doesn't like hanging around the arena and getting the attention from the fans and stuff like that. He's not big on that. Yeah. Which I get. Not everybody's in that. Some people love that, you know. Some
Well,
people.
I think he said in the 60 Minutes interview that he did that I mean, he's never really learned how to handle success. He's never really felt
No.
like,
Yeah.
He's always felt uncomfortable with it, right?
Yeah, and I said to him, I says, look, you guys, you want to be superstars. You better start getting used to it, because if you do become superstars,
every sport has people. They're all different personalities,
Yeah.
right? They've got different things that they do it for, that they love it for, and that bother them, things like that. So you just try to understand what each person's, reasons are for being there, and what they want to get out of it, and what they want to avoid. You just respect that, and everybody can just kind of go on their own way.
Yeah, but it is something that I think Matchroom has its top group of players. They're the ones that get the most media attention and stuff like that, and they've all had to learn to a certain extent how to go about interviews properly. How to dodge certain questions, how to be a little bit more careful on social media, how to be they've all had to learn that they're in the spotlight a bit more, and with that comes responsibility. Some of them haven't done it very well.
Let's transition to people who should learn how to use social media better, Jim.
That was clever. That was clever of me, wasn't it? Like I said,
that was mad.
Some are getting better at it, and some,
as Shane would say at the Mosconi Cup.
That was a mistake. Yeah, not good.
Yes, people should learn how to use social media better.
Get somebody else who does know how to use social media and get them to do it for you.
Yes, that would also help. Yeah, pay the man. No, it's something that overall pool players do a lot better than they had 3 years ago. 4 years ago, something that they're understanding more.
I think a lot of people aren't managing their own social medias anymore. There's a lot of it.
They're also learning what not to do, right? And so, you learn really fast. And I learned it with the infamous Robbie Capito video, is that it is a ruthless and very quick to act medium. And you better buckle up and be prepared for it when you throw anything out there that's more from the heart than it is from the head, and that can bite you in the ass. So, should we be more specific, Jim?
You seem to be doing great, Mike.
That shit just drives me nuts. I mean, we're gonna have to jump into it anyway. So this idea that I've never in my entire life found so many people that are so clearly morally superior to everybody else when they get a keyboard in front of them. Like they've never made a mistake in their entire life. It just drives me freaking nuts. Like everybody, like the idea of social media is like you get to wear this veneer of like just being perfect all the time, to where like I can criticize all of these people because I've never made a mistake in my life. I know exactly what's perfect and what's moral and what should be done at all times. Like I saw somebody who's a freaking drug addict for his entire life, recently got sober, and I'm not.
Nice intro.
Huh?
Nice intro.
No, I'm telling you, like he was a drug addict his entire life. He's from my area, and he's on this thing, and like he used to steal and rob, and he like shot some dude once. Over drugs, and he's on fucking Facebook telling Joshua Filler how he's a terrible person because his word means nothing and he has no legs to stand on and he's a terrible person. And I'm like, dude, like what? I have a little bit of like introspect, a tiny little bit. Like people make mistakes. Yes. Should we be like over here like holding him accountable? Sure. Should we be calling him a horrible human being who will sell himself out for like a paycheck from the World 8-Ball? Like there's got to be some sort of like.
I agree 100%. I mean, I went through that with someone who, I had responded to. Albin made a post. Albin was the first one to comment about, I made a little mistake here, decided to play anyways. This is why, and was relatively apologetic. And I commented that, he at least manned up and owned what he did. And
that's what I said.
I don't consider it, I'm not giving him a free pass on it, but, and this guy wouldn't let up off off, your word is everything. And if you don't, and that's so cliche. And there's a lot of truth to it, but it's like, listen, if you haven't made a mistake and owned up for it before, then God bless you. You're a better man than me because I've made plenty of them.
And you'll make plenty more. And you'll make plenty more. We all will.
Every time I come on this podcast.
Yes, right. I made another mistake. And obviously what we're talking about is players who had come out during the European Open, or no, U.S. Open.
No, European.
Was it European?
European,
came out and made
Open.
comments about not playing in WPA events the rest of the year because the Asian Federation was strong-arming Asian players and threatening them and trying to queer the whole Hanoi Open deal. And there were a couple players who did that and then turned around 3 weeks later and are playing in the World 8-Ball. And so it's gotten to the point now where it's kind of run its course and it's time to start talking about the World 8-Ball tournament, I think. But those couple of players who said one thing and did another, they need to be questioned on it and held a little bit accountable. And, not to me, they don't owe me anything.
To their peers.
I always look at it from the standpoint of your contemporaries and your peers, the ones who you supposedly stood side by side with, the ones who stuck their chins out and said they're not going to play, and the ones who didn't play. Now, some of them had no intention of playing anyways, but it doesn't make any difference. So are you going to stand together or are you not? So, and there were two very high-profile players, Albin and Josh, who were there. Albin took a very high road, apologetic approach to his social media, and Josh took a little different approach and has gotten scorched by it. And more than he needs to be, more than he should be, for sure. But it's a combination of two things. One, he made the mistake and he needs to own up on it. And two, you got to do it in such a way that you don't make more enemies than you already did. It's just, it's unfortunate. I understand, them looking back and saying, if I had to do over again, I wouldn't have posted that post, because the players who didn't post that post who are in New Zealand aren't catching any flack at all. Your Mario Lees,
and there's a ton
Graves and people like that. So, and that's fine. They didn't make that stance. So it's just kind of one of those things where, going forward, just be a little bit more conscious and cognizant of what you're, these aren't just words you're throwing out there because it's a publicity thing or a marketing tool or something like that. If you're going to put your words on your page, you better live by them. And so, that's where he got himself in a little bit of trouble.
Jim, do you want to go next, or what do you want?
One thing he said there, Mike, was that there was players that were involved in that had no intention of going anyway. I think there's very few players that actually made a decision not to go to the World 8-Ball because of this. They'd already decided not to go to the World 8-Ball before this even happened. So for them, it was
but in part, some of their decisions to not go was also because of all the bullshit.
No, it made it easier to put that. It made it easier to put it out.
Right.
It made it easier to make the statement because they weren't going to go anyway.
It was just one more checklist.
So for them, there was no tournament before Hanoi, when it's all going to blow up anyway if things go the way people say it's going to go. So Hanoi, everything's going to be decided anyway, and they're either going to be banned or not, so they're not going to have any decision to make anyway. So the World 8-Ball was the only real decision that these players had to make. Jason was never going to go anyway, And
New Zealand is not an easy place to get to.
No, Shane wasn't going. You can see, people can say, oh, he would always go and defend his title. Shane wasn't going anyway,
It'd be interesting to see if he would have gone if he wouldn't have won last year.
Perhaps if he didn't have an 8-Ball title, then maybe, but he wasn't going to go and defend it anyway. It's New Zealand. No, it wasn't innocent. It was discussed with a lot of players, and I was involved with some of the discussions, just normal chit-chat kind of thing over a beer before the meeting happened and also after the meeting happened. Straight away, I and a number of other people said the Predator guys, they just shouldn't be involved in this because it's a conflict of interest for the Predator guys. Now, not all Predator players were invited to the actual meeting because of this. Whether Josh was actually there or not, I don't know. But
sounded from his post like he was.
Yeah. After the meeting was had, the next day I went for lunch in a little like cake shop across from the venue with a group of players who were involved. And Josh was in there having lunch, and he came over to the table, and they were talking about it, and he was talking about, I've booked my flights, the hotel, I've spent all this money. It was obviously wasn't completely 100% confident in what he was doing. And at that point, I really wanted to just pull him to the side and say, Josh, just do nothing. Keep your mouth shut and stay out of it, because you're Predator, it's a conflict of interest. Throughout the first set of bans that were being threatened, one person we never heard from, and everybody was speculating on what he was going to do because we hadn't heard anything from, was Josh.
Yeah.
And that was the perfect way for him to handle it, was to just do nothing, say nothing, not show his cards to anybody, and just go and play events and see where the dice would fall at the end of it, And that's what he did. And this is what he should have done now. And it's not for me to go. Why would you listen to me? It's not for me to go and say him. But it seemed very obvious to me that the guys like Josh and Albin should have just. Yeah. There's other ways you can support it. You can support this by going to players personally, and saying, what can we do, or being part of the group when you're in discussions about how to do things. But these guys should never have gone out there and put these. It was obvious for me as soon as they put the statements out, that's not going to go well. Because people talk about, you see posts on Facebook and people saying, until these guys started getting paid a wage, then nobody can tell them what to do. Well, you know what? Predator are paying them a wage. You think these sponsorship deals, you think they're getting a couple of cues, like your mate down the club who's got a deal with Predator? No, these guys are getting paid to represent Predator, to be the face of Predator. And these are the two biggest guys that Predator have got in their books. And they owe Predator that. They owe Predator that loyalty. More, I'm sorry to say, more than they owe the loyalty to players who are getting threatened with bans. Because they haven't done that to these guys, But they do have a contract with Predator. So for them to make those statements in the first place, that was a mistake. I agree.
Jimmy, mind if I jump in really quickly?
Yeah,
because I've seen wording on some players' contracts, and I haven't seen Albin's nor Josh's, so I'm not trying to insinuate that this is applying to them, but it could. I've seen player contracts that were 7-year deals, where in the language of the contract they say there are a certain level of breaches in the contract that if you commit these, you could be liable to pay back all of the contract towards, like if they pay out you $10 a year. If you breach it in year 6, you'll owe them $60.
Mm-hmm.
You'll owe the duration of that contract, everything that's been for it's certain things, but there are players that have that in their contracts because I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. I can fully believe that, and these two guys have got probably the two biggest Predator contracts that there's ever been. And I know what guys were getting from Predator 10 years ago. So I'm imagining these are substantial contracts that they've got with Predator, and we're talking money, not just cues,
Yeah.
So yes, Predator do own them to a certain extent as far as that goes. So it was never a good idea for them to do it. Yes, Albin's reaction or Albin's explanation came across a lot better than Josh's, but Josh's had one bit of truth in it that people seem to be ignoring. People are thinking that this whole thing was brought up as a solidarity for players getting banned. That's part of it. But the biggest part of it is a Hanoi Open. It's protecting the Hanoi Open.
Of course.
Because if the European Open gets filled by German players, the UK Open gets filled by UK players, the US Open gets filled by US players. If all these Vietnamese players and these Asian players shit themselves and say, I can't afford to get banned from WPA events, I'm skipping Hanoi. What does Matchroom have left over if they have 150?
The Vietnamese players had the same threat last year.
And that's why a lot
there's
of them
still a lot of Vietnamese players in there.
But now players are being banned in Asia. Since then, players are now being banned. So there is actual evidence that they are willing to go through with certain things, which wasn't there last year. So how much of these players, and I don't know. We're going to find we're going to find out.
We'll find out after Hanoi.
Yeah, it's going to be a big moment, and I mean,
Jim, I think you and I should go to Hanoi.
We haven't heard anything yet, but I mean, I'm not even sure if Hanoi is 100% confirmed it's going to happen.
Well, it's not. They better make a statement soon. We're 3 weeks,
1 month away.
Because the information I have is it's a government decision.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying it's the first week of October? October 5th?
It's a month from today.
Yeah.
3 to 8.
Yep. So,
and that's going to be a big part of it. And I put it in our group chat thing. It's getting a bit. It's all getting a bit long in the tooth now. It's like being in a bar and you've got two drunk guys on either side of the bar and they're shouting threats at each other. I'll go over and I'll slap you. No, I'll come over and slap you. And they're doing it for half an hour. And eventually everybody in the bar turns around and says,
slap someone, let's get this over with.
But they either shake hands or let's go. Because the one thing we don't want anymore is to listen to you guys shouting at each other. So,
of course, the unfortunate part of it is the players are getting stuck in the middle of this. But the biggest part, and let me start this off by saying you can't even see it. I am Team 9-Ball. I am Team WNT. But I think in the social media age, especially with like politics in the US, it's like, it's no longer, I mean, I don't know what it's like in Europe, but it's no longer a matter of like, I have a different view than you. It's you're evil or you're stupid or you're dumb and your opinion isn't even worth listening to because you just have no credit being the fact that you're on the other side. It's our politics and our discussions have gotten to the point where there is no other side. You're either on my side or it's done. I don't think that if you sober-mindedly looked at this, both sides really honestly believe that they have the industry's best interest at heart. The WPA thinks that they're doing what's best for the industry, and 9-Ball thinks that Matchroom is doing what they think is best for the industry. Like, but people aren't approaching it that way. People are approaching it as like whatever side you're on, the opposite side is trying to destroy the industry so that they can. I don't know. I don't even know what they're trying to do. They're just trying to destroy the industry. Why is it that you can't have a discussion just about the idea that maybe both sides are trying to do what's best? They just can't get along.
Not sure.
Trying to do their best is different things for different people. I mean, for Matchroom, it's
certainly. I
think they do love pool and they want to see it grow and turn it into something big. But they've got Matchroom to be concerned with.
You can't be considered as trying to do the best thing if your entire plan for success is to sabotage the other one.
Right.
Which they both are basically actively trying to do. That's
well, I'm not entirely sure that Matchroom are trying to sabotage anything.
I believe that. I believe
Matchroom would be quite happy if the WP just said, leave us, we leave you alone. Right, leave us alone, we leave you alone. It's fine. We don't care about it. But the WPA seem more intent on.
Yeah, no, because I mean, the answer to that to me, Jim, is I think Matchroom would be happy if the WPA went away, but they'd be happy if WPA just left them alone.
Yes, I mean, just
WPA is not in the business of leaving them alone because then if they leave them alone,
they can leave everybody else alone.
Yeah, then why would Predator sanction another tournament with the WPA if they let Matchroom skate? Why would
Predator already doing tournaments?
Why would China Open sanction with the WPA? Why would Qatar sanction with WPA? Why would anybody sanction with WPA if they're going to let the biggest one in the group skate?
Well, but this is the thing with the bans. If, let's say 256 players turn up for the Hanoi Open and all of them get banned from WPA events. If I'm a promoter, I'm not going to sanction with the WPA because I can now have those 256 players at my next event. If I sanction with the WPA, all 256 of those players go to my event.
Here's where it gets sticky when you get into because with WPA not having any kind of agreement with Matchroom, WPA just has to agree with his bans, right? Which gives their continental federations, primarily EPBF and ACBS, free reign to do whatever they want in their continents. And the WPA can't tell them no. Okay, so now you've got the ACBS. It's not, to me, just about banning players. It's the ACBS is threatening promoters, countries, national federations. Okay, now you're looking at the guys who are trying to protect their jobs and what little government funding they get. Now those are all in jeopardy, right? So it's not just, to me, the players are almost the easiest things to fix in this part. There's always a zillion more players, right? But when you start getting into these federations, they're trying to stop the Hanoi Open by going to the promoters, by going to they've already penalized the Vietnamese Billiard and Snooker Federation for 6 months. They've already, things like that. The same could be done in Europe, where they start, where the EPPF could start going after the national federations. So for letting someone come into their country and run a tournament, you start cutting off where Matchroom can run a tournament, it starts to have a bigger effect than whether or not players can go. So that, to me, is why it is in Matchroom's best interest to find some way to say, okay, we'll stick your little patch in our corner of our tournaments from here on in and send you $3 a year. Now stay out of our way. And if the WPA agreed to that, then the WPA can go and say, we're sanctioning all Matchroom events. ACBS, you can't penalize someone for running one. Poland, you can't sanction someone for running one. Things like that. So that to me is almost a bigger issue.
But as far as I'm aware, the sticking point was money, and WPA have said we'll sanction for free.
Right.
And the ranking.
And WPA has said, at least to me,
yeah.
No, say, well, we'll recognize WNT rankings for 9-ball and WNT events. But if the China Open's not part of the WNT, we're still gonna count their points, right? In our 9-ball rankings.
Yeah, in what they're going to call the world 9-ball ranking.
Right.
And that's what, and Matchroom said, no, the world 9-ball ranking will be our ranking.
Well, then
your world number one is the world.
Then you're basically telling WPA you're not going to have a China Open next year unless they are a WNT event. So now
or there's no ranking points for it.
Right. So
there's no money for it and no ranking points.
They're the ones threatening the WPA.
Yeah.
So
I just hate the idea that you can't even have a discussion on what's best with that, and it's not even pool. It's everything. I mean, you can't discuss politics anymore. You can't discuss sporting teams. I mean, if you're on the other side, you are inherently an evil human being, and you deserve zero credibility or even having a discussion with, because you're too stupid and you're too close-minded to see that person's view. I mean,
with you being a Packer fan, Nate, I completely agree with that logic.
I'm not a Packer fan, though.
You're not?
Oh, I haven't been a Packer fan since 2007.
You're a Vikings fan?
Since I got rid of Brett Favre.
Okay.
I've been a Chiefs fan since 2002.
Okay.
Priest Holmes was my favorite player growing up as a kid. I was 10 years old watching him play, and it was just loved it. So anyways, but I mean, I had the same thing that you did. I mean, somebody posted that Albin's thing to pool is not dead. And I ended up having a nice discussion with the person who ended up posting it. So props to him, because he was civil and it was fine. But I had Dominic Dunn jumped on there and told me I was sucking off the players. If I'm sucking off the players for understanding that there is nuance in these situations and not everything is black and white, and you don't know. I mean, what if Albin had actually in his contract that if he doesn't play a major Predator event like this, that he forfeits his sponsorship and potentially has to pay back the last X amount of years that he got for support? I mean, is he still a sellout if he doesn't do it then? I mean,
I'm sure there's stuff. I'm sure there was stuff that was discussed between a Predator representative and these players that we're never going to know about, and that we shouldn't know about.
That's the point.
It's all speculation. But let's not also forget that the guys that are jumping on Fedor and Albin, the majority of them are on your side of the pond that are jumping on these, because
Troy's Americans,
and
I don't know. I mean,
well, there's a few.
There's a lot of it for sure, but
yeah, I'm saying the majority. I'm not saying all.
I've
I'm
seen
saying
a
the
lot of
majority.
Asians.
The worst of them was somebody said
the hatred that's getting spilled. Listen, Josh is not the most liked player on your side anyway. Albin is a liked guy everywhere. Josh, he's already got his haters before this happened. So as soon as this happened, they were like, brilliant! I get to blast filler again on Facebook, and they love doing that. You know,
somebody made the argument that what Albin and Josh did is the same as what Johnny did to Oscar. Like, that is just some of the stupidest reasoning I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, they're saying because it's money's involved.
And the same guy, Nate.
It probably is. I mean, he was like a snooker player or something like that. The guy's just an absolute clown. I mean, if you think that Johnny air barreling Oscar Dominguez is the same as somebody literally executing their career and like performing the bare minimum of what their career would be with his playing events, and then he makes the argument based off of money. Money's involved, and anytime that you put your word up when money's involved, how is money involved? Sure, if they win the event, but if they go 2-0, there's no money involved.
Again, there's just a lot of comments and commenters who aren't even worth talking about. So
try
to keep it open. I'm sorry.
I'm actually quite proud of myself for managing not to comment on any of the stuff that I've read on this post, because normally I'm jumping in feet first with these idiots.
Yeah, it is. There's a rabbit hole that you can't get out of. But
I think not well handled by either Josh or Albin. Josh,
everyone agrees there.
I will tell you this, Jim. I'm gonna say right now, I think Josh better lace him up nice and tight when he rolls into Orlando. You better lace him up nice and tight.
That'll last only as long as it's competitive.
How strong is
it's one-sided? It might get worse.
But how strong is Fedor? Fedor still goes to the event and just sits in the crowd, the world number
one.
Oh,
Fedor handled this perfectly.
Sitting in the crowd, taking selfies with people, signing autographs. Oh, I'm not playing. No.
Fedor handled this perfectly. The crazy part about this, and Mike, I know that you have to leave, so feel free to drop off. Thanks for joining, Mike.
Sure bet.
But like the idea that like it's no longer a discussion of like which side you're on. It's like, are you properly far enough on my side? Because I don't think that anybody's going to make the argument that Albin and Josh did what's right here. And I never made that argument. The only thing I said is there's nuance to this that we're not privy to knowing. We don't know if Albin and Josh were reached out to from Predator and said like, hey, we really want you guys to be here. We're not threatening to you, but it's a pretty nice contract. I'd be ashamed if something happened to it. And we don't know the nuance of the contract. Maybe there's something in there that said if we have to cancel the contract for whatever reason, you have to pay back all the point is we don't know everything that went into it. If you're doing it strictly because, hey, I just want to go chase this paycheck, and I guess it was really fun to pile on WPA 3 weeks ago, and now I guess I'm just going back on it for no other reason than I just feel like it today. That yeah, sure, we can sit there and we can pile on it, but like. It's never that simple. It just isn't that simple. And like the fact that everybody thinks that it has to be that simple. And if you're not properly on our side, far enough right or left or wherever the hell you are on an issue, like you deserve to not only be ridiculed, you deserve to be like told that you're a dumbass and that you don't deserve to have an opinion because you're not on the right side. It's just like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And we're all on the same freaking side. I'm just not as crazy on it as everyone else. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing, it just shows again, pool players are very, very good at pool. And other things they're just not very good at.
We've got to have probably the lowest IQ of pretty much any sport out there.
It's not. You're not going to win any quizzes. You're not going to put a team of pool players together and win Mastermind or
yeah. We don't have much of it. You tell me you don't have much of a chance in Jeopardy.
No, yeah. Jeopardy.
And again, I think that Albin handled it quite nicely for what he could have done. If I'm a sellout because I can acknowledge that he handled it as well as he could have given the circumstances, and I don't then pile on him for 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm not sure. Should we take him and put him in like Town Square? This is what we should do, Jim. We should throw them on top of the pool table at the Hanoi Open, and we should throw rocks at them. Everybody should get 5 rocks, and you have to sit there until everybody's rocks are done. And once that's it, then they can rejoin proper society. I'm pretty sure that's what people want, so let's do it. How does that sound?
All right then.
I just don't understand. What's the point of this? Are we just supposed to like
listen? People love drama, they love controversy, and if they can stoke the fire a little bit more to make the controversy more than it is, then fine.
It's got to be social media. It's just got to be that. It's just like you have to.
It is, but it's the same. It's like it's the same with everything. And look, at the end of the day, they should never have openly supported the whole movement in the first place. Once they realized they made a mistake, you know, for whatever reasons, then, you know, they've handled it. And Josh's letter, when I read it as well, it was a little bit like, yeah, come on, mate, that's just, you know, just admit you made a mistake. You shouldn't have done it. Yeah, but both of them should never have. They should have both, when they were in Europe, turned around and said, listen, we just can't go along with this. As much as I would like to, and I support the idea, I shouldn't be doing it. You know, I can't do it.
I hope I get to meet this Aaron Lake someday, because he's constantly on constantly on threads, and his stuff is always really, really insightful. I could not have said it better than this right here.
Yeah.
I thought Albin was in the wrong, but I thought that he was getting piled on way too much from people that have just no idea on the situation. But then once Josh's came out, Albin looked a lot better. I think Albin he's still going to get grouped into it. But I hope to meet this Aaron Lake someday, because I think it'd be fun to have a beer with the guy. He just seems like a really smart, insightful person. Maybe he's the one person bringing up our pool IQ.
He can be in the quiz team. Yeah.
He's the one person. You know, he's bringing up our pool IQ. I'm telling you.
Is it time? You know, as these pool players get, you know, more and more recognized and stuff like that, as we're hoping they do with this whole matchroom thing, is it time for them to start thinking about getting some sort of PR agents, so as they're not putting their own foot in their own mouth continually?
A lot of players aren't managing their own social media.
Yeah, a lot of them are not. Yeah.
BJ Usher is. He's managing.
He is. He's made it plainly obvious that he's the one that's doing it. Yeah.
That meme of Jeremy saying, "I heard there's a BJ waiting for me in the bathroom."
That was class. That was one of the best things I've seen on Facebook.
So the funniest part, Jeremy didn't see that. He didn't see that until like I was so we were sitting at the bar having a drink that night, and I showed him it, and he had not seen it yet. His wife, I think, fell on the floor laughing.
That was a classic. That one did
Amy is such
that one made me giggle. Yeah.
Amy is such a sweetheart, anyways. Like, she is just such a nice person.
Yeah.
She read it and she just like, oh, that's class stuff, you know. I'm so lost with the idea that like you can agree with somebody, but they're still going to call you a piece of shit and a sellout, and that you're dumb as hell because you're not far enough on that side of the issue for their liking.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like some of the people literally want to put them on the table at the Hanoi Open, and they want to chuck rocks at them until, you know, they've.
Look, social media makes it easy for people to say stuff that they wouldn't say face to face. That's just the way it is.
No, I mean, am I maybe a little bit more pushy over than I should be, because I do see these players and I do have a friendly relationship with both Albin and Josh? Yeah, maybe that could be true. I mean, honestly, like, I'm willing to.
That's a real thing when you do something like this, like podcasts and stuff like that. Sometimes you feel bad if you're. You know it's the right thing to criticize somebody, but you feel bad about doing it, kind of thing, because they're friends of yours as well. But you know, it's what we chose to do. So I mean, it's not like exactly. And Josh, you know, Josh screwed up, Albin screwed up, they both screwed up. But Jesus, guys, let's.
I don't know. I mean, and I guess if I sat down and had a cocktail with like one of these people that are like so far out there, like crazy out there, I guess I would ask them. And I'm sure that we have like 50 people watching right now. I mean, somebody's out there. What do you want to have happen to them? because that's the thing that I get caught up on. Like, what should happen to them if?
Well, that's my question to you. What do you think the fallout here is? I mean, other than fans going in uproar, do you really see the players being upset with them and now?
I think all the players.
Do you think Matchroom's not going to say to them, guys, you've let us down? You know, I mean,
I think that's.
You think they're not going to get Mosconi Cup now? You think Josh is out of the Reyes Cup and Mosconi Cup because he hasn't done this?
I think the players understand the nuances in ways fans can't. Now, I think that Joshua Filler's response to it was a bit bullshit. Like, don't tell me you're not going to see your wife for 3 months, and that's the reason why you're playing in this. I mean, he had a lot of.
It wasn't a mature post.
He's trying
a naive.
He's trying to take 10 things that have 10% validity, add them all up, and that's 100%. And so give me a pass. And I would tell. It's just one of those things. I don't think that there's maybe a couple of the players look at him side eyes, a couple of them, but for the most part, I think the players understand that there's nuance to this and that it's not as black and white as what we would like to think that it is. But I mean, it's not that they shouldn't be suspended. They shouldn't be fined or anything like that. I think the only thing that you really is a few players might look at them with a side eye saying, do you really have my back? But at the end of the day, like, they're contemporaries. They're contemporaries at best and enemies at, it's not like somebody's going to get on a pool table and be like, wow, Fedor had my back. I'm going to take it easy on him just because of that. Like, nobody's going to do that. No one's going to get onto the table and be like, Josh didn't have my back. I'm going to play him tougher this time than I would normally. Like, they're not friends on the pool table. So, and it's a singles tournament. It's a singles career. You don't owe your contemporaries necessarily anything. In an ideal world, you'd like to stand together. And I think that the WNT is the correct, morally correct side of this entire thing. But I also don't look at the WPA as being like this big bad boogeyman that's trying to ruin everything as much as other people do. I do think that they're doing some dumb shit, but they've also backed down on a lot of their dumb shit. And who's to say they're not going to back down on this next dumb shit? We'll find out we'll find out in a month when we get to the Hanoi Open. But it wouldn't surprise me a bit if I see a letter from the WPA saying like they're going to sanction the Hanoi Open. We won't know until.
I think the WPA they're hoping that the government says you cannot do the Hanoi Open.
Oh, I'm sure, because they don't want to be the bad guys.
They're hoping that these threats mean that the government make the decision, and they can just turn around and say, "Oh, the government said you can't have it, so you can't have it."
Well, the WPA is at the end of the plank, right?
Because then they don't have to ban players, and somebody else is taking the decision away from them. But if the government says, no, come on, Matchroom, have your tournament here. It was a great success last year, and we really, really enjoyed it. And then the WPA have to make the bans. Then I could see them backing out again and saying, you know what, we're not doing it.
That would be my. The government part of it definitely throws the wrinkle into it, and who knows at that point. I mean, honestly,
I think the WPA are banking on the government saying, Matchroom, you're not welcome.
Yeah. And again, I agree with Crystal Lynn. I'm assuming it's Crystal Lynn. I agree. I mean, I know who Crystal is. Never mind. Now that I saw a profile picture. Hi, Crystal. But yeah, it's.
Hi, Crystal.
Well, I have my logo over the top one, but I looked down at the bottom. Well, she said hi. Trying to be civil over here. I don't know. I hate the idea that social media allows you to sit on the other side of a keyboard and tell somebody how stupid you think that they are, and just
the funniest thing is,
if that person was in front of me, they would never say it.
No, it's not just that. If any of these people will be slamming them, they'll go to Orlando for the Mosconi Cup. Josh will be walking down the corridor and saying, "Can I have a photo with you?"
Oh, can I? Yeah. Can I get an autograph?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, social media just brings out the worst in people, and we all fall victim to it. I mean, I do this shit all the time. Like, I was pleasantly surprised when I had like the little discussion on the pool's not dead with the guy who made the post, and next thing you know, we're like agreeing to disagree, and we're having like the most civil debate you can possibly have. And meanwhile, there's poofling and everywhere else on the entire post from everyone else. It's
you know who throws poo?
Monkeys.
Apes. Monkeys, yeah. chimps.
I don't know. With all this being said, like, I agree completely 100% with the idea that both of these players did a wrong thing. I just don't know what the punishment's supposed to be. I mean, I guess I asked the question. I didn't get anybody really to say anything.
Well, they're
somebody's got to be crazy far out there. Maybe they don't want to do it now.
Their punishment is their punishment. Their reputations have been slightly damaged. There's a trust factor that perhaps they've lost a bit of. That's the price they're paying. People are going to start questioning their word. They're going to start questioning their honesty, and that's fair, I guess, after what's happened. But people need to be a little bit. It's like you said, look a little bit at yourself. You never told a lie. You've never gone back on your word before. Really, you're that saintly, you're that holy that you've never said I'll do this and then you haven't actually done it, or you said I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow, but you've done it on Friday instead. Yeah. Come on.
I lie all the time. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it is intentional. Everybody does. I mean, it's the fact that they think that their word is just so much more holier than someone else's. The problem is trying to get the match. That's definitely true. I will agree with that. The Ike Poole fan, I think but that goes into the nuances of the stuff that's happening. Like this, it isn't just black and white. I mean, there's additional context for additional things, and it's hard to actually know. Mm-hmm. If you have yourself a little diagram and you say everything that's happened on both sides and why some of it's good and some of it's bad. I mean, sure, but as far as two players deciding that they are going to take what's best for their financial interest, which everybody would argue that Albin and Josh, their best financial interest is to play this event, especially given the fact of how many players aren't there. I mean, I pulled up the final 16. I mean,
yeah, but it's not about this event. Their financial interest is a six-figure sum they're getting from Predator every year in order to represent Predator. That's their financial interest.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree. But if you're looking at this, I mean, you have Joshua Filler, WNT Pro, Roman Hebler. I don't think Roman is a WNT Pro, is he?
No.
Torsten Holman, WNT Pro. Chang Jung Lin, I don't know if he is either.
No.
Wu Kun Lin, he is. Alex Pegulayan, he is. Darren is. Bader Eldawadi, I think Bader Eldawadi is a WNT Pro.
I think he is.
Conrad, yes. Pius Labutis, yes. Zhuan Su, Ryan Su, I don't think so.
He's only just playing again.
Mieszko Fortunsky, yes. Mm-hmm. Albin Ocean, yes. Marco Tauscher, yes. Matsuyas Sholnaki, yes.
Sholnoki, yeah.
Alex Kazakis, yes. There's 3 players in this that isn't, and none of them are taking any heat.
And let's not forget Biado played in it as well. If we're talking about Asian players looking after each other.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, that's just the final 16. I mean,
which it was never about in the first place. So you think this meeting was called because people felt bad about players getting banned? About the players themselves? You think that's why this meeting was called?
Ralph Souquet is there. Dennis Graba was there. Emil Gangflot was there. Mario He. Sullivan Clark. Sai Che Chen. Wojtek isn't one. Demetrius Lakatos. I mean, I'm not going to go through everybody. Naoki Oi's there, but there's a bunch of them. If it really is about all the players, if really the only problem we have is that they made a verbal agreement and went back on it,
that's
then
what people said.
Yeah. I mean, if that's it, and they deserve to be just dragged through the dirt as the most awful human being that ever has walked the face of the earth, then I really would love to see the skeletons in their closet and line them up and see. Everybody's got skeletons in the closet, and everybody thinks that they're this holy person that is above, is above criticism. But I think it's wrong what they did. I don't think that we need to then sit there and just drag them through the dirt. And I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they both feel pretty bad about it themselves. They won't be happy with how it's gone. They won't be happy that they've had to do this, that they've done it. And I'm sure there'll be some verbal apologies that they'll be with certain people when they see them again at different events, and they'll feel bad enough about this themselves.
It definitely has become cool to. It definitely has become cool to start piling on anything WPA related.
Yeah, and yes, Josh is going to get some verbals at the Mosconi Cup. Yes, well, fine. The European fans would probably do exactly the same if it was an American player. So
Probably.
Go ahead.
Is what it is. I guess I look at it as being a little slap on the wrist that should we then make sure that they're never able to join back into polite society? No, but should it, do they deserve a little bit of ridicule from it? Sure. Do we think that they are the most awful human beings in the whole wide world? If you think that, and you think that anybody who doesn't think that is an idiot, then you're exactly what's wrong with social media.
And we'll see what kind of reaction he gets in when he goes to the Reyes Cup.
Maybe if it wasn't an election year, I wouldn't feel this bitter towards this. But I think Josh and Albin are lucky that it's an election year, and I'm already ready to kill myself with all the stupid political banter that's going on Facebook right now. Right, I just don't understand.
Can I have your cues?
Which ones? I got lots.
All of them. If you're going to kill yourself, you don't need them anymore, do you?
Well, what if my wife wants them? Okay, fine, you can have them. Jeez.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, shall we? Let's cut that one. I think we've talked enough about it. And I like you. I'm kind of sick of reading about it on Facebook as well.
I'm a sellout, and I suck off the players. So what can I say? But I just don't think that this is that big of a deal. I would like to talk. I mean, in an ideal world, and of course, you and I are going to have this opportunity hundreds of times in the coming months because we do spend a lot of time around the players. I would like to have a discussion with some of the players on what their thoughts are on it. Because right now, I haven't talked to any of the players about it. And part of it is because I don't think that anybody that gives me an answer right now is going to be as clear-minded and as sober-minded as it would be in a couple months.
Well, the ones that I've spoken to briefly, it was the same reaction from everybody so far. Yeah,
really?
Well, and it was basically, but they're Predator players. So the players completely understand the situation. Nobody that's spoken to me has none of the players have blasted Fedor or Albin. They've said, it's Predator.
Oh yeah, well,
so
that's exactly what I thought.
They know.
Well, that's exactly what I said earlier. I think the players understand the nuance of the situation, and are they going to like it? No, but I mean, I don't think that they're going to be sitting in the background saying like these two are the biggest pieces of shit in the world, and we're never going to talk to them ever again. Like,
but they also were never going to turn around to Josh and Albin at the time of the meetings and say, guys, don't sign. So nobody was protecting them and saying don't sign, but they were all aware that they're probably not going to be able to go through with this anyway. I mean, like I said, not all Predator players were invited to the meeting for that specific reason.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, were there any other? I mean, I guess Conrad is a Predator player, but he never said anything to begin with.
Wasn't invited to the meeting.
Pius is a Predator player now. Who else on here? Is there anybody else on? Marco Tauscher was a Predator player. I'm not sure if he still is. I think he is.
Molinari, and I think now he does use Predator. I think,
Naoki always with like Owl or something, right?
Carlo
Beato. That's Carlo Beato is the one.
Wasn't invited.
Bader Aldawadi. He might be a Predator player. Dimitris Lakotas, I think he is. Dennis. Ralph.
Not there. Kazakis, not there.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're and another reason why I'm big WNT team on the side of this is because I do honestly think that Emily and the rest of Matchroom really is doing this in the correct way. Like if they're not including them in situations like that, like that's
conflict of interest.
It's very, very, very professional. Honestly, like you shouldn't be. You should, one, out of respect for the players, and two, out of respect for the discussion, they shouldn't be there. And Matchroom, if they're not there, then that's perfect.
No, wait, no. There was Kachi was there. Kachi was there as a Predator player. But Kachi
doesn't play anything. It doesn't matter.
But Kachi just doesn't give a shit. And apparently he was just there making jokes about it. And Chua was in there almost in tears because of the situation that he was in. And Kachi just patting him on the shoulder saying, "Oh, you'll be all right, mate. You're good enough to win some money. You'll be fine." He's just and Chua was losing. Chua was losing like 7,000 a month plus tournaments. Chua was losing 100,000 out of it.
That's real money.
Real money.
That is real money. Sure, 84,000 a year.
I'm not sure it's supposed to even say that, but Chua was out of pocket by about 100 grand a year because of the bans.
And Kachi's. Oh, you'll be all right.
Exactly. Kachi's just like, "Oh, come here, mate. I'll give you a hug," and he's patting him on the shoulder, not listening to him.
Yeah, another person that's not
typical Kachi.
Another person that's not at this event.
Yeah, no. Well, Kachi was never going to go.
No, because he's not going to play anything except for enough to qualify.
Again, another guy didn't care, so I don't know if he even made his own post. I think he just shared all the other ones and said, "Yeah, I agree," or whatever, or something like that. Just in like the Kachi way he does it, and he doesn't give a crap. If Predator turned around and say, "Hold on a minute, you can't do this," he'll just go, because that's Kachi. He just doesn't give a shit, and he'll. Yeah.
You kind of know what you're getting with him, don't you?
Exactly. He's straight down the middle. Kachi is such a nice guy, and it's straight down the middle. And he won't be told what to do by anybody. Did
you just say Kachi's such a nice guy?
Kachi's a real funny guy. A very funny guy.
He does a funny guy, or you say a funny guy or a nice guy?
I think he's funny. I find funny people nice. He sent me a message last night and said, "Do you want to come and play on an online poker tournament with some other players?" And I'm like, "When's it happening?" He says, "Well, we're in the middle of one just now." And this was at like, what time is this? This was this morning at work, like 6:30 in the morning. I'm at work, I just got to work, and I got this message. He says, "Oh, we've been playing all night." I said, "Mate, I've got a proper job. I can't be online playing poker through the entire evening for a couple of $100. But yeah, he's just a bit weird. He's just a bit, I don't know. I like him.
Oh, it is what it is. I don't know. Do you want to talk a little bit about the final 16 here at the World 8 Ball?
Go Darren.
Let's go, Darren. I'm pulling for Darren and Alex. I'd like to see Alex win another world title. And this is the only one he's got a chance in, I think.
Yeah, until they make a one pocket world championships, then yeah, pretty much.
So Josh and Robin Hebler. I think we're gonna both take Josh there, right?
Yeah.
Torsten and Chang Jung Lin. Who do you got there?
I'm gonna take Torsten.
I'm gonna take Torsten too. Wu Kun Lin and Alex Pegulayan.
Wu's a monster.
Wu's a really good player.
But I'm gonna go Alex just because I think it would be great if he did.
I'm done agreeing with you. I can't agree. I can't do 3 in a row. I'll take Wu Kun Lin just because I can't agree with you 3 times in a row. All right, Darren or Bader Al-Lawadi?
Let's go Darren.
Darren.
He's still. I tell you now. He's got the best 8-ball brain that anyone that's ever played the game. I'll say that.
I think it's pretty good. Bader Al-Lawadi. Oh no. Pius Labutis and Conrad Justishin. Conrad said I did a good job of pronouncing his name.
Well, let's go for Conrad then.
Let's go for. I got to go for Pius. I love them both, but I got to go for Pius.
I don't know I don't really know what Pius's 8-ball game like. He's been playing great on the 9-ball circuit and stuff like that. His rotation's obviously very strong. 8-ball's just a little bit different. I don't know. I'll go with Conrad.
I'll go with Pius because he gave me a signed jersey. Ryan Sue or Mieszko Fortunski?
See, Ryan Sue's been away for a long time. I don't know what he's been doing, but he was a bit of a monster, and now he's back and he seems to be playing well. I'm going to go with Ryan.
I think Mieszko is playing really good. Well, I'll tell you, Ryan beat Carlo Biato.
Even though Carlo made a foul that nobody called again.
The refs had.
But did you see where the referee was standing? The referee's standing directly behind.
I won't say anything because I do have a couple like dear friends that are the referees that are over there, and I
don't care, but and I'm not. At the end of the day, it's not a personal thing. But if you look at the table and you see that a player is going to have to jack up over a ball, then you get round and you make sure your head's over the ball. If your head's over that ball while he's jacking up over the 7, then it's still going to be there when it comes round for the contact. And you're going to clearly see that it contacted the 7 first. You don't stand behind the guy. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Albin Ocean, and I'm taking Mieszko, by the way. Albin Ocean and Marco Tauscher. I'm taking Marco.
I'd like to see Marco do well. He's a Dutch guy. I know him
well. Super nice, too. Oh, my God. He's one of the nicest guys.
Go Marco. Yeah.
Sholnaki or Kazakis?
Kazakis,
because he beat Wojtek and it pissed me off. All right. I don't know. Pick a winner from there. I'm not going through this entire thing. Seems silly.
Winner of the tournament. I mean, if you're throwing your money on the line, you take Filler obviously above everybody there. But I'm taking. I think Filler wins it, and I'm going to say as an outsider, Ryan.
It's hard to argue against Josh, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. How do you not pick him? But I tell you, listen, if Darren gets his break going, he never plays the ring shot at that game.
I remember last year in the finals with Shane and Wojtek, it wasn't about who was breaking the balls. It was about who wasn't breaking the balls because they were getting the first opportunities. I think between the two of them, they only made like a ball in the break, like 6 out of their 25 racks. It's crazy. So I don't know.
Let's hope for an Albin against Filler final so that Facebook can keep exploding and exploding and exploding.
Oh they're on the opposite sides of the draw. I'm gonna take I don't know. All right, I'm gonna take Albin, and my dark horse will be Mieszko because I think Mieszko is really honestly hitting.
So hold on a minute. You said Albin was going to get beaten his next match by Marco, and now you're saying he's going to win the tournament
because I really want to see Marco.
No wonder people argue with you on Facebook. You're an idiot.
Well, I'm picking with my heart when I pick Marco because he is such a nice guy. I just like Marco. He's a really nice guy. He is.
Oh, didn't realize you had a heart.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah. Right. Are we done with this? We've been on for over an hour and a half.
Yeah. Let's go. Well, I don't know. Do it. I don't know that that's true. Laura says, "Can you guys explain the putters that hate Chris Melling and don't think he's that good?"
Yeah. What does she mean by the putters?
I think he's just like the idiots. But I don't think that people think that Chris Melling isn't good, but I don't think that he's elite.
I don't know anyone that hates Chris Melling.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that hates him either. I mean, he's a goofy guy, but he's fun to be around. I mean, he's always been really, really, really nice whenever I've been around him.
Yeah, Chris is one of the most liked guys in the pool world, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as far as he's not that good, I mean, it kind of depends on what you say is not that good. I don't think he's in the top tier of players. I don't necessarily think he's on the second tier of players either. But I think that he's one of the purest. I mean, if you took an overall game of 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, one pocket, banks, snooker, billiards, Chinese 8-ball, English 8-ball.
If you took every cue sport on the planet,
good luck beating
everybody
Chris.
Had to play all of them. You'd struggle to find anyone. Nobody would finish above Melling, I think.
Yeah. Well, Keyword Warriors blast everybody. They just I think honestly, they just
Mosconi is the GOAT.
I think keyboard warriors, like, I think there's actually something in their DNA that if they don't constantly talk about how smart they are, they'll forget. So I think they constantly have to tell everybody how smart they are, or they're gonna forget. So
Laura says his runouts are amazing. See, and you know what I say to Chris every time? If you could play position properly, you wouldn't have all these amazing runouts on YouTube and stuff like that. The reason he's got all these amazing runouts on YouTube is because positional game is absolute dirt.
No shit.
No shit. But don't tell him I said that.
Shh. This is between friends. Nobody's going to see this. All right, let's close it out there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and participate in the comments, especially Laura and Crystal and Aaron. And you guys were there the whole time helping us out and participating. So we love that. Christian McLean was in there a lot, too. We'll give him a shout out. And the one guy that got blocked.
the old guy that got blocked by everybody else and us. Yeah.
Yeah, so there it is. All right. I guess until next week, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks. Be friendly on Facebook.
Yeah, be nice to